Today, we're diving into the absolutely wild story of the language that, let's be honest, runs our entire digital world, JavaScript. It's behind pretty much every website you visit, every app you tap on. But the most unbelievable part of its story? It was built from scratch in just 10 days. Yeah. Let's get into how that even happened. So, to really wrap our heads around this, we have to travel back in time. Back to the early 1990s. I want you to try and picture the web back then. There are no social media feeds endlessly scrolling, no interactive maps to zoom in on, no instant updates, no anything really. It was a very, very different place. And here it is. On the left, that's the web of the past, what we call Web 1.0. It was basically a read-only deal, kind of like a digital magazine. You could look at stuff, but you couldn't really do anything. It was static. And on the right, well, that's the web we live and breathe today. It's alive, it's constantly changing, it's interactive. That giant leap between these two worlds, that's the story of JavaScript. So here's our roadmap. First, we'll spend a little time in that early static web. Then, the main event, the incredible 10-day creation of JavaScript. After that, we'll get into the chaotic browser wars it kicked off, watch its amazing comeback, and finally, we'll connect all those dots to the web we use every single day. All right, first stop on our journey, the mid-1990s. The internet is starting to become a thing, but it's missing something big. It's missing action. In the age of Web 1.0, websites were basically one-way streets. You had organizations just broadcasting information out. As a user, you were just a passive consumer. You could read things, sure, but there was no commenting, no sharing, no liking, no live updates. You were basically just window shopping. And this was a huge problem for a company called Netscape Communications, who made the most popular browser at the time, Netscape Navigator. They saw a future where the web was more dynamic and exciting, but the tech just wasn't there yet. Pages felt lifeless, and let's face it, things were getting pretty boring. And this is where the story gets absolutely legendary. Netscape knew they needed a solution, and they needed it yesterday. So they went to one programmer and gave him a task that was, frankly, almost impossible, with a deadline that was just completely absurd. You can actually break this whole moment down with the 5 W's. The who, that was Brendan Eich, an incredibly smart programmer. The what, a brand new scripting language, which he first called Mocha. This all went down in May of 1995 at Netscape. And the big one, why? The whole mission was to finally make web pages come alive, to make them interactive right there in your browser. So what was that totally absurd deadline that Netscape gave him to invent this new language from absolutely nothing? 10 days. I'm not kidding. 10 days. He had to create a working prototype in less time than it takes most of us to binge watch a new show. Just wow. So how in the world did he pull this off? Well, Eich was like a master chef. He didn't try to create every ingredient from scratch. He took the best parts from other languages he knew. He grabbed that familiar syntax with the curly brackets from languages like Java and C. He took powerful ideas about functions from Scheme. And he borrowed a concept called prototype-based inheritance from a language called Self. He just brilliantly fused all these ideas together into Mocha, which, pretty soon, would be renamed JavaScript. So JavaScript was a hit, a huge hit. But that kind of success, well, it doesn't go unnoticed. A sleeping tech giant was waking up to the power of the web, and this was about to set the stage for the first great browser war. This graph, wow, it just says it all. This was the battle that defined the late 90s. You see Netscape Navigator, the early hero, there in green. But look at that massive blue wave. That's Microsoft's Internet Explorer. By bundling IE with every single Windows computer, Microsoft just aggressively took over, almost wiping Netscape off the face of the earth. And to compete, what did Microsoft do? They basically reverse-engineered JavaScript and made their own version called JScript. This was a disaster. All of a sudden, you had two languages that were similar, but just different enough to be incompatible. It was a complete nightmare for developers, who now had to build every website twice, once for Netscape, once for IE. The entire web was in serious danger of just splintering apart. So to stop this from happening, Netscape made a really brilliant move. They took their language to a neutral third-party standards group called ECMA International. The whole idea was to create one single official standard that all browsers would have to follow. That standard was named ECMAScript, which, by the way, is still the official technical name for the language we all just call JavaScript. But of course, it's never that simple. Politics got in the way. After a good update in 1999, the next big version, ECMAScript 4, got, well, a little too ambitious. It was so big and so radical that it caused huge disagreements, especially from Microsoft, who by then completely dominated the market. The committee basically deadlocked. ES4 was abandoned, and for almost 10 years, nothing. JavaScript was stuck in a kind of dark age. But just when things looked their most bleak, a renaissance began to bubble up. And this time, it wasn't driven by corporate committees. It was driven by the developer community and a whole new wave of competition that would change, well, everything. A huge catalyst for this was a library called jQuery, which came out in 2006. Its motto was perfect: write less, do more. See, before jQuery, trying to write code that worked on all the different browsers was a mess. jQuery just smoothed over all those differences and let developers create amazing animations and cool interactive stuff with really simple, clean code. It was a total game changer. Then in 2008, another massive leap. Google released its Chrome browser, and inside was something revolutionary called the V8 engine. Instead of just slowly reading code line by line, V8 used something called just-in-time compilation. It would actually compile the code into super fast machine code right as it was running. This made web apps feel just as fast as the software on your desktop. Performance didn't just get better, it skyrocketed. So now you've got these blazing fast engines and much easier tools. And the ambition of the developer community just went through the roof. Jeff Atwood, the guy who co-founded Stack Overflow, he summed it up perfectly with what we now call Atwood's Law. He said, any application that can be written in JavaScript will eventually be written in JavaScript. And boy, was he right. That breakout moment finally came in 2009. A developer named Ryan Dahl took Google's super powerful V8 engine and did something genius with it. He created Node.js, which let JavaScript run on a server outside of a browser. For the very first time, developers could build an entire web application, from the buttons you click to the database in the back, using just one language. The revolution was here. And all of that chaotic, incredible history, the 10-day rush, the browser wars, the community-led renaissance, it all leads us right here to today. It built the foundation for the seamless digital world we all just take for granted. Seriously, just think about what you did online today. Did you scroll through a social media feed where new posts just magically appeared? That's JavaScript. Did you pan and zoom on Google Maps without the page ever reloading? Yep, JavaScript. Added something to your online shopping cart and saw the total update instantly? That's it too. Editing a Google Doc with other people at the same time? It's all powered by this incredible language. It's the engine that makes the modern web go. So we're left with this kind of fascinating thought. The language that powers our entire world was literally thrown together in a frantic 10-day sprint. And yeah, some of its weird quirks are a direct result of that rush. But at the same time, that insane deadline forced a design that was flexible, adaptable, and simple enough for millions to learn. So was that rushed beginning a flaw, a bug that we've been trying to fix ever since? Or was it the very feature that guaranteed its incredible success? Something to chew on.